The 3 keys to positioning your company for long-term business success. Hi, my name is D.L. Rogers, and I'm the founder of rmcstrategies.com and Rogers Management Consultants. I have a couple of questions I'd like to ask you. How well are you dealing with the challenges in your business today? Do you have a grasp over what is confronting you right now, and do you know what you need to be concerned with in the future? If the answer to any of these questions is anything but definitely you do, the good news is we're here to help. At RMC Strategies, our goal is to show you how to become more successful in business. I want to start this conversation in terms of positioning your business for long-term success by telling you what I consider to be the first fact of any organization, which is that the success or the failure is the responsibility of the people running the organization. And I make this point because frequently I hear people wanting to assign the reason for success or failure to something other than management. Let me give you a little bit of background on me. I have 24 years experience with Wall Street firms, financing companies, and advising executives and business owners. I have started businesses. I have managed businesses. I understand the challenges of day-to-day operations. And I've also done what I call the trial and error approach to managing. But what I've also done is hired good people, either as employees or as consultants. And I have leveraged their expertise to make me successful more quickly. And frequently what that really means is the difference between success or failure. A critical element to long-term success is understanding that you're going to be a lot more successful if you leverage the mistakes that others have made. Now, I want to tell you a little bit about my Wall Street career. As I mentioned, I did some financings. I actually did that for 17 years. And on a quarterly basis, there was a committee that would look at the loans that we had done that were considered to be higher risk, or where there was a potential possibility that we would lose money. Now, at the time we booked these loans, they were all considered good loans, and most of them were for very basic things like working capital and for plant and equipment. During these portfolio reviews, the committee would assign a principal reason for the borrower's underperformance, and this is what we call the causal factor. And do you know what we discovered was that overwhelmingly the principal reason businesses were underperforming and failing was because of the decisions made by management. A review of business performance done by the Small Business Administration and Dun & Bradstreet has identified that 80% of all business failures for small businesses and startups is because of management. But as I said to you a little earlier, my assessment as a lender is that this applies to all companies, the mature as well as the new. So what exactly do I mean when I say that management caused the poor performance? There are a bunch of things that take place in a business's life cycle that can impact whether or not they succeed or fail. I've listed a few of them here, and there's certainly a number of other ones that can be considered. But my answer to that is that all organizations are confronted with significant challenges, but should that cause failure? These are the sorts of things that are typical of any business. And as the manager, you have to deal with the changing environment because nothing stays the same. And so that leads me to one of my favorite quotes, which is, if you don't like change, you're going to like irrelevance even less. I want you at this moment to think about the time that you either started your organization or joined it, because at that time, I'm certain that you believe that you were going to be able to deliver a product or a service to your target customer better than your competitors. Your goal was to change the competitive landscape or to maintain your competitive position, whereby your competitors were going to have to adjust what they were doing, or they were going to suffer a decline in business. Now, isn't it reasonable to assume that there are people out there right now trying to figure out how to outcompete you for your customer? And if you don't think that someone's out there considering that, you need to change your way of thinking immediately. A healthy sense of paranoia is a good thing in business. It is time to begin anticipating and planning what may come. And this is all about positioning your business. So I have a question. How much planning do you do? And once you have a plan, are you prepared to execute on that plan to remain competitive? Your long-term success is tied to how well you position your company. And there are 3 keys to that positioning. And they are that you need to, first off, anticipate business opportunities and challenges. So what's the good things that you can do with your business, and then who's out there attempting to take business away from you. You need to develop plans to address the identified opportunities and challenges, and you need to execute on those plans to drive success. The most successful companies over the long term do all 3 of these things very well. How can you be sure then that you are on top of what's happening in your marketplace and reacting properly? Here's a critical concept that you need to embrace, which is that you need to develop a culture within your organization of a commitment to continuous improvement. And what exactly do I mean by a commitment to continuous improvement? It means that you and your staff are always asking the questions, how are we doing? What can we do better? And who in the marketplace may be doing it better than us? And those are just 3 of the questions that you need to always ask. There are no magic bullets that will assure your success, but at rmcstrategies.com and Rogers Management Consultants, we provide you with the resources and help that will allow you to proactively manage your business and position it for long-term success. There is no substitute for embracing the one true reality, which is change. You cannot fight it. The only question is how well you're going to manage through change. So let's take a few minutes and look at the 3 key things you need to do to position your business for the long term. The first one, as I indicated, was to anticipate business opportunities and challenges. Rarely are the issues that confront your business a complete surprise. The signs were there. The risk of the opportunity was known. It just did not get the proper attention. That's probably because you were immersed in day-to-day operations. I want to give you 3 real-life examples to show you exactly the points I'm trying to make. These are companies that were tops in their industries and they're no longer tops. General Motors was the #1 automaker in the world for decades, and now Toyota is. Sears, or Sears and Roebuck, was the #1 retailer in the world for decades, and now Walmart is. And Microsoft has been the dominant technology company for decades, and now Apple and Google are the growth engines in the technology space. Microsoft's still a very good, profitable company, but they have missed the competitive opportunity in terms of upside growth. In each one of these examples, the new #1 player was a longtime competitor of the former #1 player. In each one of these examples, the former #1 player was larger, had greater resources, and yet it failed to beat away the competition. And in each one of these instances, their market dominance of the former #1, that their market dominance was lost because management failed to act quickly enough to what the changes were in the marketplace. I would go so far as to argue that the prior #1 actually saw the trend in advance and in some way just ignored it. Market leaders for some reason become complacent. They believe that what is true today, even though history tells us it's not the case, will still be true tomorrow. They lose their desire to drive and to innovate. Okay, so that is the #1 key. You need to always be focused on who or what may be coming to compete with you. In terms of the second point, you need to have written plans to address the business opportunities and challenges. Planning is a critical element of winning in the competitive marketplace. And to put it very, very plainly, if you do not have written plans, your chances of long-term success have been greatly reduced. Some of the key benefits to planning are, You've placed a stake in the ground in terms of what you're going to do. You've made it easier to communicate to other people what it is you want to do, and that allows you to get feedback, comment, because other people can see things differently, modify, make adjustments to what the plan is. That is how, and yes, it opens you up to some levels of criticism, but those are the sorts of things that are necessary to stay abreast of what's taking place. And obviously, it creates a document whereby you can actually compare your results. The third key is to execute on the plan. True success comes to those companies that have learned how to follow through on plans. Execution is simple to explain, but has proven to be difficult for many to do. Our principal focus at rmcstrategies.com and Rogers Management Consultant is on execution, because this is the real playing field for your business. This is where you keep score. And this is where great plans are realized and poor planning is exposed. This is where most companies fail. So how are you doing relative to the 3 keys to long-term success? Are you happy with your ability to see future opportunities and challenges? Have you been planning? Is your organization good at delivering what the customer wants today? Have you created a culture where continuous improvement is the norm? If not, come and check out the rmcstrategies.com website. We provide coaching, consulting, web-based training, and other relevant information. We deliver all of this to help you become more successful in your business. I've also provided you with an email address if you'd like to contact me directly. I'd like to thank you for having taken the time to hear what we're talking about today, which is the 3 keys to position your company for long-term business success. I thank you for this opportunity and look forward to hearing from you.